Welcome to The Explainer. I'm absolutely thrilled to have you here with us today. We're tackling a topic that literally every growing, dynamic company eventually has to face, and that's business relocation. Expanding or moving to a new office, it's incredibly exciting. But the administrative side of that move? Yeah, well, that can feel like a tangled web of red tape. But don't worry at all, because we're going to untangle the whole shebang together, step by step.
Are you on the verge of relocating your business, but the thought of handling the address change feels overwhelming? You're in the right place. Stay tuned to learn exactly how to navigate the process smoothly and ensure no missteps for your business. Because, let's be real, moving is stressful enough without having to worry about whether the IRS or the state has completely lost track of your company.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for the explainer. We'll briefly cover why address changes matter, preparing for your move, the step-by-step process, avoiding common address pitfalls, some pro tips and best practices, and finally, essential resources and tools to get you across the finish line.
Section 1. Why address changes matter and the severe consequences of failing to update.
Now, you might be wondering why this is such a big deal. Well, you see, the IRS uses a very specific legal concept known as your last known address. That's the location currently on file for your business. If the IRS mails official correspondence like a deficiency notice or a legal summons to this address, federal tax law considers it legally served and enforceable. It absolutely does not matter if your business actually moved months ago and never even received the letter. Ignorance of a notice, it's just not a valid excuse if you failed to update your address.
So the crucial point here is that failing to update your address triggers a massive chain reaction. We aren't just talking about missed IRS notices. At the state level, failing to update your registered agent's address can actually lead to the administrative dissolution of your company. Yes, meaning you literally lose your corporate good standing. On the intellectual property side, missed communications from the USPTO can cause you to unintentionally abandon a valuable patent or trademark. And digitally, conflicting address data can actually get your Google business profile completely suspended, wiping you off local search results overnight. It's a real domino effect.
Moving right along to Section 2, preparing for your move and gathering your information before filing.
Think of this as packing your bags before you hit the highway. Before you even touch a single form, you need to have a few items on hand. First, your employer identification number, or EIN. You'll also need both your exact current address on file and your new address. Crucially, you've got to have the details of your responsible party, which includes their full name and their social security number, or ITIN. Plus, you'll need to know your exact business structure, whether you're an LLC or a C Corp, and your NAICS industry code, since that's frequently requested on state portals.
Now, please pay close attention to this because our sources highlight it as a huge point of confusion. Do not, under any circumstances, mix up IRS Form 8822 and Form 8822-B. Form 8822 is strictly for individuals changing their personal home addresses. If you run an LLC, a corporation, or a partnership, you absolutely must use Form 8822-B. And get this, if you use your home address for your business and you move, you actually have to file both forms separately. Crazy, right?
All right, Section 3, the step-by-step process, using the waterfall method from federal down to local. But before we cascade down that waterfall, I want you to keep the number 60 in your head. According to the IRS, if the identity or the address of your business's responsible party changes, you have a ticking clock of exactly 60 days to report it. Missing this window severely increases the risk that sensitive tax correspondence ends up in the wrong hands.
Let's move to and see how this builds across our 4 compartmentalized buckets. First, we secure the federal level with the IRS and FinCEN. Second, we handle state compliance with the Secretary of State and Department of Revenue. Third, we protect our intellectual property with the Patent and Trademark Office. And fourth, we lock down our local operations, which includes the post office and our insurance carriers.
Looking closely at the state level, this is where things get highly specific and, honestly, a bit tedious. You must file a statement of change of registered office or agent in every single state where you're registered to do business. And the filing fees, they are all over the map. For example, Minnesota charges $55 to file online, while Florida charges a flat $25 for LLCs. But you really have to take this seriously. In states like Texas, submitting deliberately outdated or fraudulent address filings can actually constitute a Class A misdemeanor. No way you want to mess with that.
And this brilliantly illustrates just how specialized the process gets for your intellectual property at the USPTO.
Updating your correspondence address for patents uses different forms depending on whether the patent is pending or issued. But amazingly, doing this electronically through the Patent Center costs $0. Trademarks have their own separate update center, which is also free. But keep in mind, unlike patents, trademark updates generally require individual filings rather than bulk updates.
Next up in our waterfall is your insurance, which, as you probably guessed, is incredibly location-dependent. Take your workers' compensation premium. It's entirely based on where your employees actually work. If you move to a monopolistic state, which just means a state that requires you to buy workers' comp directly from a government fund rather than a private insurer, you might actually have to buy a totally new state-specific policy. Likewise, commercial property insurance absolutely must be updated to legally cover your new physical site, and your general liability might need to adjust based on the new foot traffic risks of your new neighborhood.
Wrapping up our step-by-step process is the USPS. Now, to change a business address, you have to prove you're an authorized agent. This means you need a notarized letter or something official on company letterhead. You can do this online, which requires a $1.05 identity verification charge on a credit card, or you can just do it in person at a post office for free. Oh, and one absolutely crucial note from our sources here. You cannot file a USPS change of address to forward mail for an individual employee away from a business. The business itself is actually responsible for forwarding an individual's mail. Moving on to Section 4, avoiding common address pitfalls so you don't let these mistakes derail your move.
Here is a massive bureaucratic pothole you want to avoid. Did you change your business name while you were moving? If you did, you cannot just write your new name on IRS Form 8822B. That form only changes addresses and responsible parties. You actually have to legally amend your name with your state first. Only once the state approves it can you notify the IRS. You usually do this by checking a name change box on your annual return or by writing the new name followed by the letters FKA, which stands for formerly known as, and then your old name on the address form.
Another huge pitfall is in the digital realm. Changing your Google business profile address is considered a very high-risk action by search engines because they are constantly fighting spam and fraud. If your new address on Google doesn't exactly match the address on your website or other directories, Google's algorithm gets super confused. This inconsistency can cause a severe drop in your SEO rankings or even trigger an immediate flat-out suspension of your business listing. Section 5. Pro Tips and Best Practices. Some insider advice for a flawless transition.
Yes, many annual tax returns, like Form 1120 or 1065, have a convenient little box you can check for an address change. Do not rely on it. Our sources highly discourage doing this because it frequently suffers from administrative delays. By filing a dedicated Form 8822B instead, you create an immediate, reliable paper trail. The IRS will actually mail you a confirmation letter within 30 to 45 days, giving you absolute peace of mind.
Now, here is a fantastic pro tip if your company holds intellectual property. Instead of manually updating the address on hundreds of individual patent files, you can link all your applications to a single USPTO customer number. When you move, you simply update the address tied to that customer number, and it automatically propagates the change across your entire patent portfolio simultaneously. It is a massive time saver.
All right, Section 6, Essential Resources and Tools, the final stops on our roadmap. Now, what's really interesting about this is how states are modernizing the process, so you don't always have to mail in paper forms anymore. You should definitely look for your state's dedicated Department of Revenue portal. For instance, South Carolina uses a great system called MyDRWay to manage business tax accounts, and North Carolina offers super clear online resources like Form D400 for income tax updates. Leverage these digital tools to formalize your new footprint quickly and securely. Are you ready to take that first step?
Before we wrap things up, I do need to read this quick note. This video is intended for informational purposes only and does not constitute legal, financial, or professional advice. Please consult with a professional for advice specific to your business circumstances. Relocating is a huge milestone for any business. Getting the paperwork right ensures your foundation remains rock solid. So the question I want to leave you with is this: where will your business grow next? And are your administrative records ready to grow seamlessly right alongside it? Thank you so much for joining this explainer. And here is to a highly successful move.